This is the House of Hockey podcast on the Hockey Podcast Network. Hockey is more than a game, it's a lifestyle. It's you, the diehard supportive fans, your favorite players who are on the team you cheer for and the organization who supports them.
The companies that make your gear, bags, and beer league sweaters. The hockey moms and hockey dads and everything else that makes this House of Hockey your home. Come on in. I'm Breezy.
And I'm Rae Rae.
And this is our house.
Welcome back to the House of Hockey podcast. I'm your girl, Rae Rae.
And I'm Breezy.
And we are here with a brand new episode for you. We are very excited about it. We are both still alive, as you can tell, and we will get to our life updates here in just a moment. But we wanted to give you a little insight into this week's guest.
Yeah, so we brought on, his name's Frank. He actually hosts the podcast Hockey Illuminati, and he actually hosted me on his podcast back in January, and we did a fun little take on the hottest hunk of hockey for the All-Star game. So I thought it might be kind of cool and turn the tables on him and bring him on our channel.
Yeah, he's also friends with Steven Stamkos.
He is, and he's played against Jack Eichel once upon a time. So we're going to have some good stories from him.
Yes, he shared some stories that he could about those guys, and we definitely had a nice long conversation about all things hockey and what we love about it. But that's coming up in just a little bit. I think we both, let's get into our life update. I mean,
there's no updates really.
No.
We're alive. That's an update.
I think that's all we can ask for. Yeah, I decided to take a couple days and not really do any productive work activity. And I'm okay with that. I feel like because the world is shut down, nobody's like, oh my God, Rachel took 3 days off of work. So I did, and it was glorious, and I needed it. I needed to recharge. What about you?
I've been working, kind of having your own business like I do. It's got to keep your clients happy. So I've been working and still doing my photography course and my cooking course. I actually just bought a master class. So I've been learning Texas barbecue.
Whoa.
So
who's on? How do you like that master class? I've heard wonderful things.
I was like iffy on it. Because it's kind of pricey to buy it. And I thought like, oh, it's just one class, because I see something and then I'm like, okay, cool, I'll buy it. Or it's like, I don't know, like I don't really read too much into it. So, but I figured, I was like, you know what, if this is it, maybe I'm going to open up my own restaurant in the next 5 years. I don't know. So I bought the master class, and it's actually really cool. You're able to kind of pick anything and everything you want. It's like a year-long subscription, and you could take any course you really want. So I pulled up all the culinary courses and mixology courses. Gotta, get my shaker on, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, it's fun.
I want to come to your restaurant 5 years from now.
Okay. Sounds good. I'll host you. I'll put you at the chef's table.
Ooh, I better be seated at the chef's table.
It might just be a little spot out the door, but it's fine. No,
that's okay. I will sit there with honor and pride to eat Breezy's famous barbecue or whatever you decide to go with.
There you go. I'll hold you to it.
Oh, I realize I do have some updates on my state of hockey, learning to play hockey.
That's true, yeah.
So I have received my actual sized hockey stick. I had it cut down to the correct nose height.
Okay.
And I learned how to tape the stick. I learned that I made a rookie mistake in not buying white tape for the handle because the black tape, when it gets like hot and sweaty with the glove, rubs off on the white glove and then leaves like black marks all over stuff. Fun fact, Rachel Ray Ray here did not know that about the tape, so I learned something there.
Yeah, it is true. I have black tape on mine, but I just like black, so I just went for it. But
okay, you make me feel better.
Probably better. Yeah, so see, we're on the same boat. We can have black tape. We'll be black tape twins.
Yeah, we can. We're gonna make it like a cool thing. We're gonna make it. Yeah. We're gonna make it happen. And then I did learn how to shoot a tennis ball, shoot pucks. I went out into a very safely quarantined area where no one was around and fired some tennis balls at a fence because I don't have a net. Because remember, I have never done this. I have none of these tools. Stick was the only tool I have right now in a tennis ball and a puck. And that was interesting. I realized I definitely hold the stick like when I was practicing more like a golf club. I was going into some of I used to be a golfer, and I went into my golf techniques and like sitting and how far away my arms are from my body kind of thing. And I'm not entirely sure if that is applicable to hockey. So I will have to follow up with my coach when I do my virtual coach, when I do another practice and make sure I'm doing stuff. But that was fun. I needed to get some aggression out anyway. So it was nice to just rip that tennis ball at the fence.
Exactly. We got to get you a mini net. I have a mini net in my room that I use.
Okay.
We should get you a mini net.
All right, that's the next thing I'll order when we get another sponsor for the podcast.
Okay, perfect.
If anybody out there who sells mini nets and wants to donate to Rachel's learning to play hockey, I'll gladly shout you out.
There you go.
And I'm sure you would support that choice, right, Breezy?
Exactly.
We'll get you one too. We've both got to have one.
Yeah. We both have to. And then maybe we'll have a little 1v1 and we both have our own nets and we'll be good.
Exactly. Are you listening to any good music or anything right now?
Gosh, I'm a pretty avid music listener. I probably have my Spotify on all day long from like the second I wake up to getting dressed and doing work. And I always go in the backyard and I sit in the backyard. So I have music playing from pretty much the time I wake up to the time I go to bed. So I listen to a bunch of different stuff all the time, but I would say I'm really obsessed with, I don't know, have you heard of Tyler Childers?
No.
He's great. Is
it country or?
Yeah, but it's kind of like, he's definitely country. I would say not so much bluegrassy, but like more country, more like a modern day, maybe like Johnny Cash. Maybe, I don't know. That's probably a really strong thing to say. I'm probably going to get in trouble for saying that, but I would say listen to Tyler Childers. He's good.
I like Johnny Cash, so any semblance of that, I would enjoy that. I'm the complete opposite with music. With you,
really,
like, I very rarely listen to music except if I'm working out. I really, really need music. I really like music. For that. And then I actually found, I'm gonna butcher this name, binaural beats something. It has something to do, I'm gonna look it up because that sounded like I made some words up.
It sounded like you were going to like a relaxing resort or something.
They're called binaural, like audio, like binaural beats, and they enhance your concentration. Holy shit, Rachel, let's use your words. Okay. They enhance your concentration by traveling through different brain wave frequencies until you reach peak awareness in gamma state. I don't know what that means, but it's supposed to help you focus. And there's like some beats go in one ear and some beats go in the other ear. And it really did. I had them on when I was needing to focus and write a bunch of stuff, and I just thought, I'll try this out. But other than that, I don't really listen to music.
I feel like that would like get all like weird if you had beats going in both different. I just listen to the playlist Brain Food just because that makes the most sense to me. Makes me concentrate. But
try the banana waves thing that
the banana waves.
The banana waves.
I'll look at the banana waves. I'm sure I'll find it appealing.
You will. It's very.
You didn't even get that pun.
Appealing. I didn't get it. It went right over my head.
It went right over your head. That's fine.
Sorry.
That happens to me all the time. I come up with puns and everyone's like, yeah. I'm like, that was supposed to be funny, but I guess it's not. Okay. On to the next one.
Okay. Would you want to do it again and I'll laugh?
No, it's okay because it's not funny the second time.
Very appealing. Okay, I got it. Yeah. I only got it until you said it. And
then when you start laughing at your own jokes, that's when you know they're real bad. Just burst my bubble. It's all good. Anyway,
sorry.
No bubbles to be burst at this point.
Oh, but you know what I do like? I do like live music. I like live concerts. I like going to live music. I'll listen to music in the car every once in a while, but obviously we haven't been in the car for very long periods of time. And
you'll listen to music in the car every once in a while, and you live in LA and you drive the 405.
I listen to podcasts.
Oh.
I listen that's my time to listen to podcasts, because if I'm driving in LA, it's more than 30 minutes. I could usually get in like 2 podcasts, sometimes 3.
That is true.
Depending on where I'm driving. And
what's your favorite podcast?
Oh.
Well, other than ours, obviously.
Of course, ours. Honestly, my favorite's Spittin' Chicklets.
Yeah.
They make me laugh. I love the guests they bring on. I love the stories they tell. I love when Whit goes on his rants and starts like yelling. It speaks to my soul.
Yeah.
And
that's funny.
That's definitely the one I listen to the most. And I enjoy it. Plus I learn. I like it because I learn more about, past players and stuff that I don't have a depth of knowledge on. Right. And so for me, it's entertaining and I learn at the same time. So no brainer. What about you? What do you listen? What podcast is your favorite?
I actually am not a podcast listener.
And yet you have a podcast.
Yeah, I've never really been. I tried listening to, so I used to have to drive down. So yeah, I used to have to drive down to Manhattan Beach once a week for work. I just had to go for an hour-long meeting. So that's fun. So I had to drive pretty much 2 hours to Manhattan Beach because of traffic, be there for an hour, and then drive about 2 hours home. So I obviously, when you're in the car and you listen to music as much as I do, you kind of want to change up the pace a bit. So I tried listening to a couple podcasts. I obviously listen to Spittin' Chicklets occasionally if they have a good episode that I want to listen to, which Duncan Keith's episode is by far my favorite one. But I try listening to like scary stories because I like hauntings and paranormal stuff. Like I think it's good, but it made me fall asleep almost in the car. So it's like, okay, let's not do that. Let's put on Bring Me the Horizon or something. But our buddy Jason Jay Withy from Pacific Rink, he just came out with his podcast for Pacific Rink. It's hosted by Pacific Rink, I guess, and it's hilarious. I don't know if you've heard their first episode, but it was hilarious. So I would say, I'm going to say the Circle Chirp podcast right now is probably my favorite.
Okay, just go ahead and pump your business partner's tires. That's cool.
No, maybe a little bit. No, just kidding. It actually was really funny. So they have like that humor where it's like, you guys are the biggest idiots. This makes no sense. You're not even talking about hockey right now, but I mean, I get it.
Okay. All right. I support them 100%. I know Todd and Jason. I don't know his nephew, but I will definitely give them a listen and a subscribe and a like and leave a comment, and just a, reminder to all of our listeners. We would love a review. That's the word, review. We'd love a review on whatever platform you're on in your spare time in quarantine. 5 stars only. Let us know. Let us know what you like, what you want to hear more of, and don't forget to subscribe.
Or at least just DM us and let us know what kind of topics. What do you want to hear? You want to hear more about certain stuff? Us? You want us to shut up? I mean, I don't know.
Exactly. I mean, all things are fine as long as it's 5 stars.
Yes,
that's all I know. If you're,
but don't do like those dumb things where you do 5 stars and then you say like hate it or something like that, because that's not cool.
Okay. Yeah. Well, then if you have that thought, just put that message in a DM then.
Yeah, you can throw shade at us. It's fine.
That's totally fine. What's the first thing you're going to do when we get out of here? I mean, out of here as in out of this world pandemic, self-quarantine.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely would like to do the makeup on our Nashville trip that we individually had going, but with a lot of people being out of work, losing jobs, this and that, like I just don't think traveling is everyone's cup of tea, especially right afterwards, especially when you're going with friends. The first thing we kind of have on the books, we're going to go on a road trip in the RV. We're going to be gone for like 3 weeks. We have this whole thing planned out. So I think that might be the first thing we're going to do. Obviously, I'll podcast from the road, but
who's we and where are you going to, what are you going to, where are you going?
Well, my parents have an RV, and so it's going to be my parents and me and my dog, Mate, which he's laying behind me. I don't know if you're watching our YouTube, you could see him laying behind me. So Mate, and then my brother's in-laws want to go as well. So we're basically going to leave from here, go up to like Oregon, to Idaho, to it'd be Wyoming, up to what's above Wyoming? Montana, back down to Wyoming, through Colorado, and then New Mexico and home. New Mexico, Arizona.
Cool. Home, so. I kind of want to come.
I mean,
I'm not invited. It's okay. We'll have to do a separate trip. We'll have to do like a road trip for House of Hockey podcast.
Yeah. Well, I originally had like a Southern Crawl road trip going on, like from here all the way over to like Myrtle Beach and back home. But I got vetoed real quick because of humidity.
Oh, yeah. I would veto that as well. I've lived in the South. The humidity's a bitch. I want no part of it anymore. You will be much happier in the mountains, my friend.
Yeah, I do like mountains. I like trees and I like rivers. So
you will be very happy.
Very happy.
Well, if you're gonna road trip to the South, you want to go when it's like in the winter. You want to go in November when it's cooling off, but not freezing and you know bearable.
Yeah, we were planning on going in September, so
nice.
It's still might be a little too warm. But what are you gonna do?
What am I gonna do? Well, I will probably be one of those people on an airplane as soon as possible, considering my line of work, and I travel so much for my hosting and interviewing, and I really do miss what I do. I love being able to talk to people and interview them and figure out their why. And we do that here on the podcast. And thank God we have this, because it definitely fuels my soul. But I'll probably be getting back to it. And I've got an official face mask I had commissioned by a friend of mine. Sounds fancier.
Your leopard print?
Yes, my leopard print face mask, because I love leopard print. That's a fun fact about me. I have leopard print of basically everything. Like one of all the things. I have throw pillows that are leopard print. My phone case is leopard print. I have a leopard print jacket. I have a leopard print shirt. I have leopard print pants. I have a leopard print blazer. Like one of all the things. Now I don't ever wear them all together because that's crazy.
Yeah.
But it just
something weird
brings me joy. Go ahead. Yeah, what's
Fun
weird?
Fact, I didn't mean to cut you off. Sorry.
Oh, no,
but speaking of leopards, I was chased by a snow leopard when I was like 5. It was in its own little cage, obviously, but it was stalking me. It wanted to eat me. It was at the Moore Park College. They have a zoo up there. It's a small zoo. And I was looking at this thing, and this snow leopard was stopped, and it jumped off of its bed and on all three sides, back down, and growled, and it wanted to eat me.
Okay, when you started that story, I thought you were like in the mountains and you were actually being chased by snow.
I mean, I might as well have been, because if that cage was not in place, I would be snow leopard dinner, lunch.
That's a little traumatizing.
Yeah, it was.
Oh, it's action happening by you. Got a busy street. What are people doing? We're in quarantine. Go home.
We have the most annoying, like, motorcyclists that go. I live, so my house backs like a busy street, and like clockwork, it's the same two motorcyclists. They'll go, and they just feel like we want to hear their motorcycle.
Yeah, I don't get that. I don't
like loud noises.
I don't, that's not. What's your least favorite sound? I know mine.
Oh, I've never thought about that before.
My least favorite sound is the leaf blower.
The leaf blower?
The leaf blower.
Okay.
It drives me up a wall. I think it's because it's like, and it's like up and down, and it's like, shut up, like, make up your mind. Are you on or are you off? Go away. The leaves just keep blowing around anyway. You're not cleaning them up. I don't know.
That's true.
It pisses me off. What about you?
Well, I grew up being told never to chew with your mouth open. So anytime someone is smacking their food around me, or if you like slurp like soup,
like a loud chewers.
I mean, not like necessarily like if you're like a loud like if you're crunching on chips, your mouth is shut, like, that's fine. I don't mind that. But if you're like smacking on your food and I can hear like the wishy-washy of the food hitting your teeth, I'm probably going to backhand you.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah.
I just want to circle back to the snow leopard almost attack.
Yes.
Are you okay from that? Are you permanently traumatized?
I mean, let's be real. I cannot remember a lot of stuff that happened in my childhood. So for me to have a very vivid memory of this snow leopard pre-attack, I'm okay now because I'm alive, but I still often think about it.
I'll just make sure not to wear snow leopard print around you. I wouldn't want to trigger you in any way.
And don't make like sudden movements around me, or else I'll
like
I'd probably like, karate chop.
Breezy's gonna like whack me upside the head.
Yeah. I do have reflexes like a cat, so.
Okay, good. All right. Well, this is good information. Yeah, aside from work, when the quarantine's over, obviously we're going to go see hockey. Well, that's going to be one of the first things we do. I feel like that's a no-brainer. But the other thing that I really, really want to do is I want a haircut.
Oh.
It's like, small and strange as that is, and I am not about to start cutting and coloring my hair in quarantine. I have learned that lesson when I was in college. We don't do that. We pay the professional to do that for us. But my hair is like getting too long. It feels blah, and it's something about getting a haircut feels rejuvenating to me.
Okay.
So that's what I want to do. That's what
you want to do. I mean, that's fine. You're able to do that. You should do that.
Exactly. And I'll be traveling and I'll be seeing people, and that'll be a given. But anyway.
Yeah. Well, speaking of traveling, besides your phone, what is something you cannot leave house without?
Like if I'm going on a trip or just in the car?
Let's just say anything. Let's just say going in the car. If you were to leave the house and without obviously your car keys, your phone, your ID, like what's something that you cannot leave without?
Water. Yeah. I have to bring a bottle of water with me in the car.
I feel that.
I don't know why, some subconscious like fear of being abandoned and not having water. Yeah. I don't know.
I get that. I drink a gallon of water a day. I have a big gallon next to me. I don't know if you can see it here. So I drink this a day.
I drink a ton of water too. So I need water. But other than that, oh, you know what else pisses me off if I don't have it in the car is my earbuds for my phone.
Okay.
The speaker's never loud enough if I'm on the road and if I need to talk to somebody and we can't, hold the phone to our head, blah, blah, blah. If I forget those, it's not ideal. But other than that, that's it. What about you?
Chapstick. Burt's Bees. Oh. I never leave without it. And if I do leave without it, I panic. Absolutely panic.
And do you turn around and drive home and get it?
Yeah, I will, or I'll find somewhere where I can go and buy one.
Okay.
Panic.
Yeah. We've all got our safety things we need with us when we leave. Maybe this is just us, Breezy. I don't know.
I feel like I'm so weird now that I'm like admitting these things. I get chased by snow leopards. I can't leave the house without chapstick.
I think everybody's got quirks and things, and maybe it's not associated with the car, but it could be associated with, the way they make their breakfast or making their bed, or I think everybody has a weird habit of some, not maybe weird's not the right word. We all have our habits and our quirks.
That's true. Yeah. I have a lot of them.
Okay, give me another one.
Now you're putting me on I always have to put my left sock and left shoe on first. Okay. Always. I mean, I put my socks on and then I put my shoes on. I'm not like a sock shoe person because that's
thank God.
Thank God. Or else I'd be vetoed from this whole entire thing.
Yeah, that'd be weird.
Yeah.
The left foot. Okay, I understand that. Yeah. I like routine. We've talked about this. I run anxious, routine, structure. That sort of thing is good for me. It helps keep things calm.
Yep.
I don't know. I have no preference on which sock I put on first.
But you will pay attention now that I've told you that.
Yeah. Now I'm going to be like, which one do I put on? Which one did I put on in the last?
Yep. And then you're going to be like, wow, I had a better day when I put my left shoe on over my right shoe. And then you're going to get superstitious. And then we're all doomed.
And then we're not already doomed now. I'm sure a lot of people think we are. I realize I do something quirky with the left and the right foot thing. But it was something I read that I don't remember where I read it, was from not fake news. When you wake up, and before you take your first step out of bed, you're supposed to figure out which side of the nose you breathe more clearly on. So like I'll roll up, I'll sit up, and then I'll like close one nostril and breathe and see which side I can breathe better on. And then the clearer side is the side you're supposed to take your first step out of bed with that foot, because it's like literally starting the day on the right foot. Like you got out of bed on the wrong side phrase, or like isn't there something with the foot too? Maybe not. It's woke up on the wrong side of the bed. That's the phrase. I'm horrible with those phrases. I butcher them to hell. So I do that. And now I have not kept a very diligent log of if that's made any difference. Okay. But in my mind, there's something to it. So you just breathe, and I then walk on the clear side. And I mean, ideally you want both sides balanced.
Right. I can just see like getting up out of your bed with your little face mask on, sniffing, and then like left.
Literally, that's exactly what I look like. Thank God nobody sees it.
Well, I just painted a picture for everyone. So
yes, you did. I have my face mask. I have my bite guard because I grind my teeth and I don't want my teeth to fall out. And the fuck? Whoever thought this shit would be happening in your life?
It's so funny.
Oh,
gosh.
So I think on that note, we should send it over to this week's interview with Frank. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so. So without further ado, let's get to our guest. So you may know him from his podcast, the Hockey Illuminati. Frank, how's it going? Welcome to the House of Hockey.
What's up, ladies and House of Hockey fans? Greetings from lovely Toronto, Ontario. It snowed here this morning. Yeah, that's not a lie.
Of course it did, because it's April, and
yeah, and that totally makes sense. Kind of ruined my morning walk, but I knew that we had this podcast recording later in the day, so I've been in a chipper mood all day. Snow or no snow, we're ready to go here.
Tell us about your podcast. How, what do you cover? How did it start? Stuff like that.
Yeah, so the podcast Hockey Illuminati, it's a beautiful little sign over there. Something that it was started close to 2 years ago now. So our show does sort of very well researched biographical style interviews with pros from the hockey world. So we've done interviews with current players, retired players, old timers, female Olympians. We've had a referee on our show. We've had an NHL agent on our show. We've had broadcasters. We've had Instagram influencers like Breezy and her page, and a couple other big influencers, guys like Pavel Barber. So we like to go in a number of different verticals in terms of the types of guests that we're hitting on and talking to. I think what sets our show apart really is how deep our interviews go, how well researched they are. Oftentimes when guests sit down with me, I know more about them than they remember. So there's many times when I've sat down with guests and I've brought up a quote or something they did in the past, and they'll sit there and they say, when did I say that? Or, oh yeah, like, how did you know that? Like, they're on their toes. So when I have guests come in, I'm challenging them always.
So do you have any favorite guests you've had on the podcast, or a really interesting story maybe that one of your guests has shared that's moved you personally?
Favorite guest? What, besides Breezy?
Of course, besides my girl Breezy, yeah.
Well, she's obviously number one. Number two, and I guess 3, 4. The first interview that I did with someone who I didn't personally know was with Mike Cammalleri, former Montreal Canadian, Calgary Flame. And I remember, that would probably be, because it was the first one. It was the first real episode that we did. I had a few other guys on, like Stamkos, who's a friend of mine. I had another individual on from the women's Olympic team, Laura Stacey, who's a friend of mine. So when I sat down with them, it was a little bit different. It was I already had a relationship with them, but when I sat down with Cammalleri, it was like, wow, this is really cool. This is my first real piece with somebody that I don't have a pre-existing relationship with. And on top of that, Mike was he's one of the most intelligent hockey players that's ever played in the NHL. Super smart guy, really business savvy, well-spoken. We had some fun. He was jabbing me. I was jabbing him throughout the interview, and he revealed a lot of things, a couple things in particular that he's never spoken publicly about. So I remember walking away from that and thinking what, and he paid me a great compliment at the end of it too. So I remember walking away from that thinking damn, that was great. Maybe there's something here. So he would probably be my favorite one that I've sat with in person so far.
You were talking about Stamkos,
yes.
And tell us how you know him. And I guess Breezy says you have a pretty funny story about how you got him pulled over. Can you tell us that story?
Well, yeah. So the Macedonian assassin, Steve Stamkos, I'm lucky enough to have a relationship with him through a friend of mine. So, he's a Markham guy. I'm here in Markham, Ontario. He grew up 5 minutes down the road from me. We're both born in 1990. We both ended up going to the same high school together, Brother Andre Catholic High School, which, by the way, our high school was actually in the Hockey Hall of Fame. We had a jersey in the Hall of Fame at one point because we were the most successful high school hockey team in Canada historically.
Wow.
Yeah, kind of cool. So like most wins, number of all Ontario championships. So we had our jersey in the Hall of Fame for quite some time. And there's a lot of NHL guys that just by coincidence came in and out of my high school.
Yeah, I was going to say, how many NHLers have come out of there?
So Stammer, Mike Delzato, who plays on Anaheim right now. Cody Hodgson, who played with Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
Rafi Torres, who played with San Jose. Who am I forgetting? Steve Weiss, who played with Florida.
A few.
I was close.
You were close.
No chance. There's probably a few others.
I don't think people know. What position did you play?
I was a goaltender.
You're a goaltender.
Yes, and I was a normal goaltender. I'm very proud of that.
Not a weird one.
Not a weird one. No, there's two types of goalies. There's the whack job goalies, and there's the bipolar goalies. Either way, they're both going to be weird. I'm more on the bipolar side.
Good to know what we're dealing with here. So that would probably make sense to why you tried to get Stammer pulled over. So
I didn't try to get him pulled over, and you know what? I don't even know if I can tell this story because the way he tells it is so much better. I wouldn't be doing justice to the actual story itself. But let's just say we were kids and we were going through McDonald's drive-through, and some unfortunate things happened. We did get pulled over. But again, it's a great story. He tells it much better than I do. So you're gonna have to go to over to our show to listen to that.
Sounds good. Well, give us a different Stammer story then.
Stammer's a private guy, that's for sure. Mm-hmm. He's not one of these guys that is really showy. He doesn't flaunt his fame. He's super modest. He's always been like that. Super down to earth. It doesn't surprise me that he was, Cord, what the hell are you doing, man? Come on. So yeah, I mean, he's in terms of another story, I guess one I could share is so I play fantasy football. Okay, I've got a fantasy football group with my buddies from high school, and this is how I got to know Stammer in the first place. So when I showed up at my high school in grade 9, one of my good friends that I developed a relationship with happened to be one of Stammer's very best friends, and organically Stammer just kind of joined our friend group, and we've kept this group of friends throughout the years, and we started a fantasy football group. Okay. So we've been playing in this fantasy league for 10 years. Okay. And yeah, 10 years. Yeah. I'm the 2015 champ, by the way. I got a ring. It's upstairs in my room somewhere, and maybe I'll throw it on next time. But we've been in this league, and a couple of years ago, we had an opening. So one of the guys who was in the league dropped out. So we had nothing. And there's a very long list to get into this league. I mean, there's people lined up. We get calls all the time. It's a very illustrious, a big pot, super competitive. Uh-huh. So we were like, you know what? Why don't we ask Stammer to see if he wants to play in or come into the league? Because we know he likes to play fantasy baseball. So we asked him. He's like, yeah, sure. So he comes into the league. First year in the league, he finishes dead last. Okay?
Oh.
Dead last.
That's got to stink.
And yeah, and the boys were just carving him. Like we were giving it to him. Like he made a couple of bad moves, and maybe didn't have the greatest draft, and we were just carving him all year. Like Stammer, like this is really piss poor performance. Like we let you in the league. Like
yeah,
I think it got to him a little bit. He said, you know what? Next year, I'm gonna show you guys what's good. Next year will be a new year. And what does he do? What does he do? The following year, he comes out and wins the goddamn league. Okay. He wins.
That speaks to his character for sure.
He threw it in our face, and he flaunted it. Trust me, and it does speak to his character, because Stammer is one of the most competitive guys I've ever known personally. Like when this guy wants to do something, I mean he's had such an amazing career, and he's so driven. Yeah, to succeed. So it was funny to see that come to fruition.
Yeah, that's funny. Well, speaking of of stories and kind of bringing it back to you being a goalie. I heard on one of your episodes that you played against Jack Eichel a bit.
One time. Played against him one time. It was the highlight of my career. Okay. Literally this was the peak. I'd reached the mountaintop in this exact moment. Okay. So and one of my dreams is to get Jack Eichel on the show or to interview him, to ask him about this.
Yep.
There's no way he's going to remember, but it'll be funny just to bring it up. So when I was at Adrian College where I played, I played a couple of years with the club hockey program, which is ACHA, and I played 1 year with the NCAA program. Okay. So my 1 year with the NCAA program, I was the league's most outstanding bench warmer, bottle opener, water boy, everything you can think of. And
it's an important job. It's
an important job. Someone's got to do it. And I tell you, those bottles were filled to the brim and they were tight when I was on that team.
I was going to say, you probably didn't let any pranks fly, did you, with the loose top, huh?
No, not in the first couple months, because I was on a new team and I was like, the rookie. It was funny. I was a rookie twice in college. I got to go through it twice.
How exciting! It
was exciting. I loved being a rock pile. I'd do it all over again to be a rook
getting
bomb.
Shit on left and right.
Oh my goodness!
It's so much fun.
I could tell you a few things that. Anyways, so back to Eichel. So I'm with the NCAA team and I got a little bit of playing time. One of the games that I got to start was an exhibition game against the U.S. Under, I guess it would have been under 21 program. Mm-hmm. Was it under 21 or under 18? No, it was under 21. The under 21 team. So Ann Arbor, where they have their home arena, the U.S. national program, is in Ann Arbor. And actually, we play them every year. Adrian College does an exhibition game every year against them. It's some type of an agreement they have. So coach gives me the start in this exhibition game. I've never been so nervous in my life in a hockey game. Like, honest to God, I remember sitting on the bus and I was damn near puking. Like, I had anxiety. I had sweats. I remember it was like an hour drive from our school. And it was just so inside my own head before the game. And like I said, you always get a little nervous before games, but I was a wreck. Wreck because there was going to be thousands of people in the stands. We had a bunch of people coming from Adrian to watch because they knew I was going to be in net. People with signs, it was crazy. So we're in the room and I'm trying to focus and just calm myself down and say to myself, Frank, just relax. Like, don't worry about the fact that you're playing these U.S. national program, guys. Just it's like any other game. You're going to step on the ice and it'll be like any other game.
Right.
Okay. So this is what I'm telling myself. So we go onto the ice. We take the ice for warm up. And you ever see how teams sometimes will let the first guy out and let him do a lap by himself?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So they did that to me. Okay, just to make my nerves even worse.
Just to add to it, of course.
God damn it. So I do a couple laps and I see all the boys are like holding back at the gate, like laughing. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
So whatever we warm up, we go in, we come back out, game starts. And I'm still shitting bricks.
Yep.
And the very first minute, one of their guys came across center ice, took a slap shot. So he dumped it in around the glass. Okay. Yep. So it's ringing around the glass. I go up behind the net to stop it. It hits off a stanchion, pops out, and it hits off the goalpost. It goes the other way. This was my first 30 seconds. And I almost let a goal in already. I'm like, oh my God. So whatever. I make a few saves somehow. Okay. Yeah. Like the puck finds me. And I just remember thinking like, what a jump it was from NCAA Division III to this under 21 national U.S. program. Like the way these guys move the puck, the speed, the way the defenseman held the blue line. I mean, we couldn't get the puck past the blue line. The defenseman, they built a wall. Like it was insane. The difference of skill, even from a marginal level to, Division III, which is still good hockey, to this program. And, they get a power play. They're working the puck around. It goes out into the slot. Bang, guy takes a one-timer, smokes me right in the chest. Crowd goes wild. We clear it, whatever. So I go back in intermission. I let one goal in on, I think, 9 shots, which was pretty good. I was super happy with my performance so far. So we get into the room, and the guys are all going crazy. They're like, Frank, they're like, do you know who that was that you stopped in the slot? I'm like, who? They're like, that's Jack Eichel. Like, that guy's going to go second overall in a couple months.
Wow.
Like, get the hell out of here. I didn't even know I knew he was, but I wasn't paying attention to any of the numbers or anything. And and it was wild. And that was like, I was like the talk of the town for the next like couple weeks as the kid who stopped Jack Eichel in an exhibition game. They ended up beating us. I think it was 4-2 or 5-2, but
and that's your 1 degree of separation from the NHL then, huh?
That was my, yes, on ice. That is my 1 degree on ice from separation. Yeah.
That's funny. Did the nerves kick in a little more after that, knowing he was on the ice, or did it not really matter?
It didn't even matter. It didn't even matter. I just knew that like I couldn't have known. It didn't matter any of the names. It's funny. Dylan Larkin was on that team, but he was a healthy scratch that night.
Gotcha.
Could have been. Go ahead.
I was looking back at that team to see what other guys I played, and there was a defenseman as well that was on the team. That's a well-known D-man that's playing in the NHL now. I forget who it was though. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about the current season since we're talking NHL, which, obviously there is no season, it's on pause, but what do you think is going to be the outcome, at the end of COVID-19 or whenever there is an end to all of this? Is in relation to the hockey season?
Well, I mean, I guess first of all, you just got to be patient, right? Patience. Everyone's getting a little stir crazy and going nuts. This is where being a Leaf fan comes in handy because we've had to be patient our entire lives for some winning to happen. So I got no problem waiting for things to come to fruition. I don't know. My gut feeling is that we will not play any type of hockey until the fall.
Yeah. Same.
They will. Again, this is just my opinion. I don't think they're going to be able to find a way to award the cup and then give the players a proper off season and then start the next season without the whole thing being too gimmicky, right? I mean, sure, they could do a short playoff format. Everyone's throwing around these ideas and, formats and, best 2 out of 3 or, go right to the third round or whatever. But I think it would be gimmicky. And as much as the players want to play for the cup, they've also got to keep their health and their bodies in mind, right? I mean, you can't have the Stanley Cup Finals and then turn around and start the season in a month or something like that. So I think what they'll end up doing, if I were to guess, is they'll have an NHL awards ceremony at some point. They'll give out all the hardware for this year, and it'll just be a wash in terms of awarding the Stanley Cup. Same goes with the NBA. Which I don't mind. That means the Toronto Raptors are defending world champs for one more year. But yeah, that would
such be BS. That pisses me off. I feel like you don't get it for more than a year. Like not just like the Raptors, but like the Blues. Like that's it. You get your year. That's it. Doesn't matter what happens with the world.
What if you're
you don't get to be.
But what if you are for real back-to-back champions? Like you're
fine. Like if they actually
only because
won,
it's your
then
team.
Fine. No, but
it's the team that she cares for, then sure.
Yeah.
But it's just like no, you don't get it twice. You get it once. That's it.
Well, speaking of having winning twice, do you think when because the Hawks won it back-to-back, right?
Mm-hmm.
No, in between. No. So 10.
No, they didn't. No.
10, 13, and 15.
The hockey lady is right.
Yes, I know. Yeah, but we went. So we almost we could have been contenders, but we weren't. But we went at every other with the Kings from 12, 13.
Yep.
Not 14. No, 14, and then you guys weren't there. 15, and then right in the playoff in 15? You didn't make it into the postseason?
Yeah.
You know, it was so long ago. So, I can't even tell you what I did yesterday.
It's okay. It feels like it's back to back. So no, but and it wasn't, 3 in a row. The Chicago Bulls were three-peats twice with a separation in between.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't want to talk about basketball.
I think when you, like, I was thinking about this the other day, though, it's like when a team has won so many times, we'll say like the Hawks, how they had their 3 in however many years, obviously it still feels good for the players and, it's still good and even fans. But at some point are you like, well, we just won the cup. We just had this, 2 years ago or like last year. Do you think that there's a level of excitement that's not as much as it was before?
For me as a fan, no way.
No, for anybody in general. Like,
I think that's a good question, and I've debated that a lot with a lot of fans of teams that have had a lot of success. I think it depends on your level of fandom, right?
Yeah,
like
that's true.
The New England Patriots are a good example.
Exactly.
Right.
It's like,
and I've had this conversation, you have those diehard Patriots fans that every single year that they've won, it's just as good as, all the other years that they won. But for the casual fans, they're like, okay, it's just another year. So I think it depends on your level of fandom. For me personally, all I would need is one. Just give me one parade in Toronto. That's it. You can fold the Leafs after that, and there could never be another hockey game in the city again. It just got to happen one time. So I'm not a greedy fan like, some of these Blackhawk fans over here.
Hey,
we want more. We
wink,
want more.
wink.
Hey, we're not. Oh, speak for yourself, Breezy, being a Kings fan. You had two almost. You had two every other. Just come on.
I mean, those 2 were great, and then we fell, and then it hasn't looked good really since. But that's okay.
No, but we're not greedy. We were just good. What do you want?
No, I know. I get it. That's fair. That's fair. That's fair. I know.
You know what? It's one of those rare things. Honestly, I think it's rare today in the sport, in the NHL, for the Hawks to have had what they had. And I think it's a lot of right players, the right chemistry, the right coach. Having that team mentality, as we saw with the Blues last year, of that, like, they came from the bottom and like had this chemistry in the locker room that really is what carried them through. And I think what the Blackhawks had was amazing, but I don't know that that's like a normal bar that you can set for teams. And
I think
it's not.
Yeah, I mean, the Kings kind of were like that in 2012. It was like the bottom, and then they came up. And even in 14, how they were behind and then ended up coming up. But and even the same with the Blues. So I feel like when you're a team that basically has your back against the wall and all you want to do is win, you get that, you form some kind of brotherhood, and you just want to play even harder for each other to win.
So why isn't that happening with the Leafs then?
Yeah, you know what?
Thoughts, Frank?
We got to talk about this because they had a pretty good season. Like, where do you see the future going?
Did they though? Did they have a good
So.
season? Nah. If you ask Leaf fans and people that actually pay attention to the team, and it's so funny, the perception of Toronto is that they are this glorified team of superstars that will just run and gun you out of the building every night and score 10 goals. And some nights that may be true, but it's so funny. I've been on a couple other podcasts, in the last year. I was on one with a few guys in Calgary, a few guys in Chicago actually. And same thing, like, wow, Leafs are having a really good year. Like they look, this could be,
I wouldn't say a really good year, but they're playing better this year than they have in the past.
I don't even know if that's the case. Like the Leafs for the last almost 2 years now, it's coming on 2 years. There's been no consistency with the team. None.
That's true.
So if you look at literally for 2 years, I encourage someone to pull up the Maple Leafs regular season schedule. Don't pull up the playoff schedule because we all know what happens. They piss it away to Boston every year. But pull up the regular season schedule the last 2 years, and they do this. Mm-hmm. It's a constant roller coaster. There's no consistency with this team.
So
Babcock.
What's the solution?
What is the solution?
Yeah, what are they missing? What are they lacking? What's the problem? Coaching, players, too many players getting paid too many big bucks that are too young? What do you think?
So the team, there is definitely something there. I mean, if you, on paper, this team's core, you can match them up against any other core in the league, right? Yep. Matthews, Marner, Nylander, Tavares, Morgan Riley. Freddie Anderson is one of the top goalies in the league when he's on his game. He's not always on it, but when he is on it, I've always said he's like in the top 3 or 4 in the league when he is on. Yeah. And the problem with the Leafs the last couple of years has been, I think a big problem is leadership with this club. You have a guy like John Tavares who comes in, who's a great player, and you just make him the captain after 1 year. And I was never convinced on him as a captain. He's a quiet leader. He leads by example, which is great, but I don't think he's the right type of leader for the Maple Leafs, who are a group of really young kids who need somebody maybe that can relate to them a little bit more. I'm not sure, but there were stories about Tavares in Long Island about how he was really quiet in the dressing room, and this is not his character. I mean, there's different types of leaders. Okay, you have quiet, silent leaders, and you have the rah in your face leaders.
Yep.
John Tavares is on the far end of the quiet leader, and I don't know if that's the right type of leadership that we need. And I mean, you look at the rest of the leadership on the team. You have Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner are wearing A's. They're your assistants.
Yep.
You're 22 years old. Okay. You have Willie Nylander, who is a terrifically skilled player. We're paying him a ton of money, but I mean, this is a top 6 guy who doesn't play defense.
Yeah.
This is a top 6 guy who won't go in the corners. This is a top 6 guy who oftentimes won't drive to the net. Right. Now he was playing great this year, but there's a lot of holes in their game. There's a lot of holes in their game. There's character issues with the team. But the good news is that there is a good core there. I think it's just plugging and playing other positions, and there's some maturity that needs to happen with this team as well.
And look, I'm going to just say this so it's on the record. I mean, both you and Breezy are very big Leafs fans, and you support the team and you love the team. This isn't a dump on them fest. This is just a very, bird's eye view of the team as a fan perspective that you're offering. Yeah.
How would you describe Leafs fans?
Yeah. Toronto's the hockey mecca of the world. There's no doubt about that. And there's people in Montreal that would probably disagree and say it's them, and there's people in Western Canada or maybe in Detroit, hockey town, where they would say no, what are you talking about? But the fact of the matter is, it is Toronto. There are more NHL players that come from the city of Toronto than anywhere else in the world that end up playing in the NHL. There's more kids playing hockey in the greater Toronto area than anywhere else in the world. The Leafs have the biggest fan base in the world just by sheer numbers. Right? There's no doubt about that. And that's evident when you go to games throughout Canada and the US, when there are some nights when the Leafs outnumber the home side. I was in a game in Ottawa this year. Leafs in Ottawa. Arizona played Ottawa on Thursday night. 7,000 fans in the building. 2 nights later, the Leafs were in town on Saturday night, sold out. And there were more Leaf fans for warm-up watching the team in the lower bowl than there was 2 nights before.
Yeah.
Senators fans. And it's like that. You go to Vancouver, you go to Florida, you go anywhere you go, the Leafs travel very well, and that's because the sheer number the sheer number of fans there are is crazy.
They do. They travel really well. How many, you have obviously traveled to see them. How many times have you gone somewhere else other than Scotiabank to see them?
Not as many rinks as I would like, quite honestly. I've seen them all in Detroit a number of times, having lived in Michigan, Ottawa, Buffalo, for the not the two best places to go watch a hockey game. They would be on the lower end of the bucket list. Nashville. Mm-hmm. And actually, I've got a funny story about our time in Nashville, if you want to hear that.
Go for it.
Yeah, let me just think, though. Where else have I been? Detroit, Buffalo?
You said Vegas.
Oh, Arizona. I saw Arizona. Yeah, Leafs in Arizona last year.
You went to Montreal, didn't you?
And Montreal, I've been to, yeah. So 6 or 7.
Okay.
6 or 7.
And you supported the Leafs at every single one, obviously.
Every single one. My heart on my sleeve, yeah. But our trip in Nashville was probably the most fun. I got my little Nashville mug here for everybody to see.
Love it.
So we just a couple months ago, we saw the Leafs take on Nashville, and I was super pumped. I've never been obviously to the state of Tennessee before, and I was there for a bachelor party. We had a great time. One of the guys on TV gave us a shout out, one of the broadcasters, because we met him before in the foyer or whatever, and he's like, "Hey, you guys what are you doing over for a bachelor party?" So he gave us a shout out. But it's crazy in Nashville. Like, I've never experienced anything like that with the way the fans are.
Yep.
And we were being really obnoxious.
Yeah.
No, you? From the little bit I've gathered about you in the last little bit.
There was like 6 or 7 of us, literally, Breezy, the last row in the arena. We were standing, like we were leaning up against the wall behind us. Yeah. Okay. You know that where I'm talking about in the back there?
Yeah.
All the way up behind Pecorine. So we were on that side. And we were just being such idiots the whole game. Like, really, like, chirping Kyle Turris so hard, like, really getting on Turris, getting on Rene. My buddy's yelling, "Oh, we love coming to Nashville, picking up 2 points." Just being so, I won't repeat some of the other things he said, but we were being so, and nobody said a thing to us. We didn't have one fan turn around and, like, even jokingly be like, "Hey, you guys are Leaf fans. You're a joke. You haven't won anything in 50 years. Like, shut up."
Right.
Yeah.
And I remember we walked out of the rink thinking, wow, those people, like, people in Nashville are so nice. Like,
they're so polite.
They're so polite. Like, we said some, again, I won't repeat some of the things we said, but we said some pretty harsh shit.
Yeah.
And no one blinked an eye at us. Like, the Leafs were blowing them out. It was like 5-2 with a couple minutes left.
Yeah.
People are getting up and leaving. We're waving in people's faces. Call us when you get home. Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
Not a word.
Do you know what they say in the South? They say, "Bless your heart." And they were probably saying to one another, "We're just going to pray for them when we go to church on Sunday." Although they say those boys need some prayers from God, and that's what they do. I mean, I lived in the South, so I can say that because I know that shit is fucking true.
Okay.
Funny.
Okay.
I've had people say to me, "I will pray for you," church. Okay. And I was like, "Oh, I think they think I'm a really horrible, like, person. That's really what they're saying."
It's the worst thing for anyone to say is, "I'm going to pray for you." I've had that said to me before, and I'm like, I didn't even do anything.
You know what? I hope they did. I mean, we're all okay, but I mean.
Well, there was a lot of prayers for you in church.
We could have used. We certainly needed them. Let me just say that. 3 days. 3 days in Nashville, and we all made it out alive. But I know I said a few prayers when I got home just to make sure everything was, kosher, and it was. So anyway.
It's funny. The first time I went to a Preds game at Bridgestone, I was with 2 of my friends, and we had pre-gamed pretty hard before the game, which is my mistake because I didn't really remember the game too much the next day. But one of my friends, so I don't curse, that's just something that I that I do. But my friend has a mouth on her, and she was saying every word in the freaking book. And the guy turned around, he goes, "This is a family environment. You need to stop using those words."
Wow. So it's like a Breezy. You don't curse at all?
No, not really.
What is the worst curse word you will say?
My mom thinks the word crap is a pretty bad word.
Okay.
So I guess I would say crap.
So is damn in your vocabulary?
No.
What about ass?
Nope.
Wow.
Nope.
Yeah.
I worked with a bunch of I worked with a bunch of Mormons for a very long time. And it just became habit. And it's actually, I think it's kind of fun to not say them, because then you just come up saying like the weirdest things. Like I always go, "Oh, you freaking donkey." Or
Yeah.
it's just
it forces you to be a little creative with your vocabulary.
Exactly, and it's fun. It's a good time.
Let's talk hunks.
Well, when I was on your podcast, we did a hottest hunk of hockey for, God, what was it? All-Star game.
Yes.
Right? And
correct.
For those who did not listen, which shame on you for not listening, because
Shame on you.
Ryan O'Reilly took the cake.
Yeah.
Took the cake. Who do you think should have really won?
What was the measurements?
We assessed hunkiness on a couple of different things. We looked at, how much money is in their bank account. That's a big factor. How much success they've had. How much bling they got. Do they got rings? Do they got individual awards? So, and of course, physical attributes as well. So we assessed points for a wide range of categories. Ryan O'Reilly won, but if we're going to be going off just hunkiness, I mean, it's hard to. I mean, like Sagan or Yossi. Do you want to take the red pill or the blue pill?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I know Breezy would take the blue pill, which is Sagan, but maybe she'd take Yossi depending on the day of the week. So I don't know.
Absolutely not. I'm complete opposite. Yossi 100%. You know that.
Yeah, I know.
I think I'd take Sagan for a night, but Yossi for life.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
God. All right. Who's your favorite hockey lady, Frank?
Besides you two?
Yeah. Just keep flattering us. We love it.
Love to
he's
flatter
just pumping
the
our tires.
I know,
Absolutely.
Jesus. Don't let us get a big head. Come on.
So I can't split you two in half and create one person?
No, pick somebody up besides me or Breezy.
Who's my hockey lady? If I could interview any female hockey player,
yeah, sure.
If I could have someone on the podcast to do an interview with, I would go with Shannon Zabados, who was the goaltender for Team Canada Olympics 2010, 2014. She won 2 gold medalist. So she was our starting goalie for all the successful years that the Team Canada Olympic team had. And I'm pretty sure she's still playing. She's very famous on the women's side. So I would probably go with her. She's got great hair too.
That's a good one.
I'm a big fan of hair. So she's got it all going on, and she'd be super interesting to talk to.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
It's a real good one.
Yeah.
So let's, I think we have one more question for you. And this would just be about the city of Toronto. So if you're a visiting fan going to Toronto, what is the best thing to do? That would be the best bang for your buck, or the best thing that you would get out of going to Toronto?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I guess first off, I'll say I've lived in Toronto my whole life, just outside Toronto. And there's still things I'm discovering in the city. There's still things to do. Like, you could be a tourist in the city your whole life and really enjoy it.
Yeah.
I always tell people to come to Toronto in the summertime. I know that's contradictory for hockey fans, but coming in the summertime, there's just way more to do. It's way prettier. There's more to see. Obviously it's an amazing city regardless of the season, but if you're not a crazy diehard hockey fan and you don't need to see a hockey game, come in the summertime. It's way better.
Okay.
But if you are going to come in the wintertime to see the Leafs, I guess make sure you buy your tickets well in advance, because they're crazy expensive.
Save your money.
Yeah.
Well, where can people follow you, find you, listen to the podcast? Promo all things Hockey Illuminati.
Yeah. So right now we're dropping episodes every other week. So our interviews, or our episodes rather, about an hour long. And every other week we've got new episodes. But the good thing about a lot of stuff that we've done is that a lot of our episodes have legs, meaning you can go back and listen to them from a year ago, because we try to make our episodes really biographical pieces about the person's life. We really dig deep about their career, struggles, the things they had to overcome, etc. So a lot of our episodes are still very, very relevant and very entertaining. So every other week we put them out. You can find us on Instagram, Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, anywhere that aggregates podcasts, just by searching our name, the Hockey Illuminati. So give us a follow and check us out.
And you are at is it the Hockey Illuminati or just Hockey Illuminati?
On Instagram, it's just Hockey Illuminati on Instagram, and on the aggregators as well. So iTunes and Spotify, you don't need the. You can drop that.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, there you go. Well, Thanks, Frank, for coming on. It's really fun to have you and to see your face again. It's been 2 months since we've last chatted. So
that's right.
Thank you so much for coming on, and make sure to follow him at Hockey Illuminati. You are absolutely hilarious with your stories and the content you post.
Thank you. I
go follow him, listen to his podcast, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for coming over to our House of Hockey podcast and hanging out with us. We'll be back next week with a brand new episode. And in the meantime, you can follow us on social media. Just look for House of Hockey podcast. We'll be back next week.